Canada is one of the sort of test beds. From what I can tell, there's 3 countries for sure that are like, they're trying to see how far they can push the Western countries. And they're doing everything. Like Australia is insane. If you haven't been watching Mexicans videos, because I don't even pay attention to too much what happens down in Australia. But man, the floods are insane. They're actually doing like weather wars on the Australian prisoners, which is kind of funny because they say they all came from being prisoners in Australia, which I don't think is true, by the way, as you would expect. And all over Australia, it's very similar in Canada with Teresa Tum. And of course, you've got the horse-faced transvestite in New Zealand. And they're pushing as many things as they can. And in Canada, they're really ramping up having basically death panels, or also killing anyone who can't really afford medical care, which is kind of funny. Because you might recall, so many Canadians are so proud of their socialist, communist medical system. I don't really care about any of that stuff. I'm having a good time. I haven't gone for runs in a while. You can't really go for runs in Polanco. They got bear dogs here. Lucy's having a great... We're all so happy. Like, Mexico City isn't that bad for a big city, but, you know, I much prefer like being like out where you can walk around on grass and stuff. But anyway, the Canadians are always so proud of their communist medical system, which is one of the worst in the world, by the way. Like there's very few places in the world that you do not want to ever get sick, because like, forget it, you're not getting any help. You have to wait like years for anything in Canada. And so there's not many places worse than that. But they're saying, well, you know, it costs too much to keep people alive. And this is the whole thing. I talked about this 10 years ago. It's amazing. I said socialized medical systems are like the sneakiest way to bring in totally tyrannical governments. And it starts with little things like, when everything's private and everyone has to pay for their own medical stuff or buy insurance, you know, be responsible. If they have a problem, they can afford some medical treatment and stuff like that if they get a car accident. But once you have it that everyone's paying for it, all of a sudden it's everyone's business in society. Like when you don't wear a seatbelt, people will actually, I've seen this because I used to live in Canada. Like people get so mad at you if you drove a little too fast. Like, what if you get in an accident? Now I have to pay for it. That's how it all works. And it's like socialism / communism is basically like ants eating other ants, and it turns everyone against each other. And that's how they bring in things like a seatbelt law. Younger people probably can't believe it, but we didn't used to have any of those laws. I know I sound like a crazy old man now, but we used to drive around. My dad would drink beer. We'd be in the back of the pickup truck. We'd bounce out every now and then. We'd get all scratched up. We'd all laugh. We'd get back in the truck and go again. But that's how they bring it in. They're like, well, a lot of people are dying in car accidents, so we're going to have to bring in all these new laws to make sure people wear their seatbelts, because, you know, everyone's got to pay for their medical stuff if they get hurt. And that's what we're seeing. We're getting near the end of it now. Like Kill said, you're not supposed to talk about this stuff. But then he talks about it, which is hilarious. But it's kind of true. Like they try to keep this quiet, but they want to get rid of all the old people because the socialist insecurity systems are all basically insolvent now. So just as you do, you know, the free markets and capitalism are so bad, we need things like socialism and communism, where you put in these Ponzi schemes like they call it social security. It's socialist insecurity. There's no security and it's socialist. And then it's a Ponzi scheme, and once it runs out, you have to kill all the old people, and that's what they've been doing. And that's what they're really trying to ramp up now.